Good afternoon, everyone, and I would like you all to rise for the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Perth, Mr Bruce Reynolds.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the City of Perth March 2026 Ordinary Council meeting. I formally declare this meeting open at 5 p.m. and I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians on land at which we gather, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. It is a privilege to be standing on Whadjuk Noongar country. CEO, can you please recite the prayer?
Almighty God, under whose providence we hold responsibility for this city, grant us wisdom to understand its present needs, foresight to anticipate its future growth, and grace to serve our fellow citizens with integrity and selfless devotion. And to thee be all blessing and glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Okay. Please note that in accordance to the Local Government Act of 1995, this meeting is being live streamed and recording will be made available on the City's website following the meeting. In attendance today, we have Councillor Raj Doshi, Councillor Liam Gobbett, Deputy Lord Mayor David Gonsalves, Councillor Dr Victor Coe, Councillor Catherine Leeser, Councillor Lisa Ma, Councillor Adam Pagan and Councillor Chris Patton. In addition, I'd also like to welcome all officers, members of the public and the media who may be in attendance. Item 3.1 and 3.2 is subject to leave of absence. There are currently no elected members on leave of approved absence. 3.3 is applications for leave of absence. The following leave of absence applications have been received. 1, Councillor Lisa Ma for the period of 11th of May 2026 to 6th of June 2026 inclusive, and Councillor Pagan from the 30th of June 2026. Actually, can I just check that? Is it from or is it just those individual days?
Individual dates.
Okay, sorry, thank you. So the individual days are the 30th of June 2026, the 28th of July 2026 and the 25th of August 2026. Do any elected members have any applications, or would any elected members like a leave application from the floor?
Thanks. I did send in a leave request for May the 19th and for May the 26th.
Okay, so we'll just add that on as well. So that is for the Deputy Lord Mayor from May the, pardon, say that again?
May the 19th.
19th.
And May the 26th.
To the 26th or?
No, individually.
Okay, and May the 26th. I can do that later. I actually do have leave of absence, but I can do that in the next meeting, or that's fine. Save the hassle of writing it up. Okay, so can I please have a motion? Thank you, Councillor, seconding that motion. Let's put that to a vote. Those in favour? Okay, leave of absence has been approved. Okay with that? Okie doke. Can all elected members please acknowledge you've had sufficient time to read and consider the agenda items presented this evening?
Lord Mayor, that we got some very late amendments that came in about an hour ago, and I note that the admin has not been able to give us any advice on those amendments.
Okay, thank you. That's noted. Did someone else? Councillor Gobbett, did you have? You were just thumbs up. Okay, got you. All right, thank you. Mobile phone reminder. I'd also like to remind everyone that to ensure appropriate concentration and attention is given at this ordinary council meeting, please refrain from using your mobile phones with the exceptions of emergencies, and please keep your phones away from the microphones as that they can minimise interference with the microphones. In the event of emergency, please pay attention to the directions given by the City of Perth staff. Did you have that? Okay, so again, in the event of emergency, please pay attention to the directions of the City of Perth staff. And I'll also remind those in the gallery around respect for elected members and also people who may be speaking. So please, no outbursts and none of the some of the some of the behaviour that sometimes can happen. We would like to refrain from that. Item 4 is the announcements by the Lord Mayor. I will have a couple of brief remarks. So good evening, everyone. Tomorrow marks the launch of the Boorloo Heritage Festival. This is an important moment for our city as it reflects on its history, identity and cultural depth. Across this coming month, more than 100 events will take place showcasing the stories, places and people that shape our amazing city. Many of these events are free or low cost and accessible, reinforcing our commitment to a city that is open, inclusive and engaged. I will also just draw attention to our amazing brochure. So it is absolutely jam-packed. So I recommend to everyone to make sure that you get a copy of this and or go online. Literally, there is over 100 events and there's something on every single day that is amazing. So shout out for the amazing team that have pulled that together for us. Also on Sunday, the CEO, the Deputy Lord Mayor and Councillor Gobbett and I attended the Reclaim the Space event in Forest Place. This was a powerful community-led gathering and an important moment of healing. The role the city has in such moments is clear, and that is to stand alongside community, to support, to listen, and to ensure our public spaces, we do everything to ensure our public spaces remain safe, respectful and inclusive for all. And I would also like to quickly speak on governance. In this case, my approach is straightforward. We follow process, we ensure fairness, and we make sure decisions are made in proper forums. That is the only path. I'm not going to talk on that issue there. I decided to take that one out. So that is basically it, yes. So thank you very much. And now what we do is we have a full agenda ahead of us this evening. So I look forward to a constructive meeting. Thank you. Item 5, disclosures of interest. CEO, have any items been disclosed?
Yes, Lord Mayor, the following interests have been disclosed. I have disclosed a financial interest in item 17.3 as it is reasonably foreseeable that the matter being discussed would result in a financial benefit or detriment to myself, and it is prudent for me to disclose a financial interest. Councillor Lisa Ma has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 19.3. As she is a student at UWA, she previously ran for a student guild position and she has friendships with members of the student guild. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any elected members have any disclosures of interest from the floor?
Just to double check, I indicated on my disclosure form for the ABS that it would continue to this meeting.
Okay, just a sec. I'll just double check with governance to see how that lies.
Through you, Lord Mayor, without the form in front of me, I can't confirm.
Okay, if you give me a second, I can just bring that up. So I previously made a declaration which stands for this the same item for 9. Is that 9.3? Yes. Just trying to find. Yeah, that's right. Not on 19. Well, relating to advocacy on temporary graduate visa fee increases. That I was previously elected as a National Union of Student Delegate and served on the organisation's governing executive body at both state and national levels. I've previously been elected to positions on the Curtin Student Guild, including as councillor, divisional representative and vice president.
Slow down, mate. We're just writing it in. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. So what we'll do is we'll just we'll pop in previously elected to the university delegate with a couple of dots to indicate that we'll fill that out accordingly.
Yep. And I have submitted it prior on the 24th of...
Yeah, that's understood and noted. Thank you. Are there any other disclosures? No? Okay, we can move forward. Item 6 is public participation. There were no questions taken on notice at the ordinary council.
Sorry, Lord Mayor. If I can indulge the council, I did have a declaration further to add.
Okay.
That's 17.3, mitigating city legal risk exposure. And I can hand this as a written form. I've been explicitly named as an individual in the public and confidential report, as I previously made a referral to WorkSafe and in impartiality interest to the effect on the February the 24th, 2026 order in council meeting. I intend to voluntarily withdraw from the matters under consideration in 17.3. And I'd also like to request that I am able to provide a statement to better inform council and to inform the public in relation to that.
Just 1 second. The only way that that can happen is if council approves that, so we'd need to put that to a vote. So could you just read that part again so I can get someone to second?
Sure, I move that council allows an opportunity for the Deputy Lord Mayor to make a brief statement regarding regarding 17.3 in order to enable him to answer public questions.
Okay, no problem. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Coe. Okay, those in favour of the Deputy Lord Mayor making a statement subject to the impartiality, was it, or financial interest? Fine. So those in favour? Those in favour? Okay, that's fine. And those against? So there are 2 against, Councillor Leeser and Councillor Doshi. You have the floor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Council. The brief statement is that while undertaking the duties of acting Lord Mayor in January, I formed the view that certain matters warranted referral to an appropriate regulatory agency. I made that referral in good faith and in the best interests of the people of the City of Perth and with proper regard for organisational safety and culture. When a related public report was later tabled by the administration at the February council meeting, I was duty bound under the Local Government Act to make an interest disclosure. I did so. When further clarity was sought, I provided a statutory declaration at last week's agenda briefing affirming the truth of that disclosure. I remain of the view that these matters were appropriately raised through proper regulatory channels based on the information available to me at the time. I also note that public interest disclosure and WHS laws provide important protections for those who raise concerns on behalf of the public interest. I also note that at 4:46, I'd just been informed by my lawyer, Janelle Delena, who has advised me the Western Australian has made a formal offer to retract their article on the 19th of 2026 and has offered a full apology on the basis that they have said that we wrongly asserted that the Deputy Lord Mayor had falsely claimed that he lodged a WorkSafe claim against the City and the CEO and the administration at the City's February. We withdraw any suggestion that the Deputy Lord Mayor misled or lied to Council and sincerely apologise for him for any harm and damage to the inaccurate caption that may have caused. And to conclude, I want to say that my focus has always been on ensuring elected members can get on with the work residents and businesses expect of us. The people of Perth rightly expect their council to stay focused on their needs above all else. And that is exactly where my attention remains.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to item 6. 6.1 is responses to public questions previously taken on notice. In the ordinary council meeting of 24th of February 2026, there were no questions taken on notice. Item 6.2 is public question time. Before we commence public question time, I'll remind everyone that 15 minutes is allocated for public questions, and this time is available for asking questions only. It is not for making statements or expressing personal opinions. In addition, no discussion of the questions or answers are to take place. Questions received with more than 24 hours notice will be responded to first. And for those of you who have submitted your questions in the last 24 hours, your questions will be included in the minutes of the meeting and a response will be provided in the agenda at the next ordinary council meeting. CEO, have there been any questions with more than 24 hours notice?
Yes, Lord Mayor, 8 members of the public have submitted public questions.
Okay, thank you. Given the number of public questions received in advance of tonight's meeting, the process for public question time will be as follows. Each person will be given 3 minutes to ask their questions and receive their responses. Okay, so now moving forward, I would like to now invite Vicky Renifshevsky to please step forward. Please state your name, your suburb, and proceed with your questions.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Vicky Ranashevsky, East Perth Ratepayer Community Advocate. May I jump to question 3, seeing though we're on time constraints? Through you, Lord Mayor, to the CEO. Noting the significant preparation and administrative resources required for international delegation of this nature, being Sarah Week, can you advise what date the final briefing or preparatory meeting with the Lord Mayor took place prior to the scheduled departure, and at that time was any indication given that that trip may not proceed due to the reported ongoing back issue reported in the media?
Thank you. Through the CEO.
Thank you. The Lord Mayor was briefed at 2 p.m. on Friday the 6th of March and 1 p.m. on Thursday the 12th of March 2026. No indication was given that the Lord Mayor was considering not attending.
And I'll just quickly add, Vicky, just for your own reference, the issue with my back happened on the Sunday prior, so that was after those briefings. So that's why there was no indication at that time. And unfortunately, it is the 3rd time it has happened since December. So if someone has never had any issues with back, unfortunately, something now I have to take seriously and get sorted. But anyway, next question.
Thank you. Question 7, please. Through you, Lord Mayor, for Councillor Coe. Records provided on notice following the 27th of January 2026 electors meeting indicate that you did not attend any induction, mandatory local government training or additional training across the years 2023, 2024 and 2025. Can you please explain why you did not undertake any of this training over that period, particularly the induction training and mandatory local government training, as it is required of all elected members?
Thank you. Councillor Coe, I have your response. Would you like me to read that?
I'm happy to answer it.
Yeah, you can answer it if you like.
Thanks, Vicky. I appreciate the question. I also like to reiterate that I was elected in October 2020. So I did a lot of my training back then, and I've actually provided in my answer, which I hope the administration will provide to Vicky, on all the training that I've actually currently done. So I've actually satisfied the requirement, the mandatory requirement for the training. There are significant penalties, as you're aware, if the mandatory training hasn't been completed. If any of those are coming my way, I'm waiting for them. So I've completed the minimum requirements, and I don't think what I've done has been incorrect. I've complied with the legislation and the Act.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Coe. We've just ticked over 3 minutes, so I'll now thank you, Vicky, and I'll ask David Lim to please step forward. Hi, David. Please state your name, your suburb, and proceed.
Yep, good evening, everyone. My name is David Lim, and I come from Daglish. Let's see. So under Leadership, Infrastructure and Operations Asset Handover UWA to EQ Ferry notes that the development application has been received. At the recent AGM of the City of Perth Western residents, the Lord Mayor acknowledged the importance of the terminal location issue to local residents. A, what assurances can the Lord Mayor provide on recognising the significance of preserving Matilda Bay in the form of preparing a public statement by the City of Perth Council supporting this position, a position it adopted in September 2025? How can this be achieved in an assertive method that maintains a good working relationship with the state government?
If you want to answer, do do be as well, and I'll just read them both out for you.
Okay. Part B, can the Lord Mayor confirm that this advocacy will be highlighted as mentioned at the AGM at a meeting with the state government in the second week of April, and stress the importance of publicly releasing an appropriately redacted, commercially and cabinet sensitive summary of the project's business case and feasibility study as promised by the state government in Hansard on 12th of August 2025?
Okay, thank you, David. So in response to part A of your question, the City of Perth has previously considered this matter, including its position adopted, as you mentioned, in September 2025. And I acknowledge the strong interest from the community in preserving the character and the amenity of Matilda Bay, and have spoken on that previously. As Lord Mayor, my role is to ensure that the City's adopted positions are clearly communicated and advocated for, while maintaining constructive and respectful working relationship with the state government. Any formal public statements or further advocacy would be guided by Council's resolutions and undertaken in a manner that reflect both the City's position and the importance of ongoing collaboration. B, in relation to upcoming meetings with the state government, I can confirm that this is a matter of significance to the City and its residents, including this issue, are raised as part of a broader discussions where appropriate. This matter is also proposed to be included in the agenda item for discussion at the said April meeting, and the City will continue to advocate for transparency and for the outcomes that are in the best interests for our whole community.
Okay. Regarding decision 3 of the recommendation of not supporting a review of fixed and mobile CCTV camera network across all neighbourhoods at this time, as a follow-up to my public question on CCTV in June 2025 on new lighting installed on Park Road in the Crawley Netherlands neighbourhood having future CCTV capability, A, how does the City currently respond to safety and security incidents in the Crawley Netherlands neighbourhood, given there are hospital workers, students and young families negotiating laneways and streets at night?
David, those questions have been answered quite extensively. They're in the minutes. We have ticked over the 3-minute mark.
Okay, sure. No
so
worries.
there's a bit of detail there, and I think it would be better absorbed, when you got a chance to read it. Because,
sure. Okay.
There's quite a meaty question there. So thank you very much for your
Okay,
participation.
thanks. Appreciate your answer.
Always welcome, mate. No problem. I would now like to ask Stuart Chapman. Is Stuart Chapman here to please come forward? Good to see you, Stuart. If you could state your name and your suburb, and please proceed.
Good evening, Lord Mayor. Given that over the past, I'm referring to question 2, given that over the past 2 years, the City of Perth Rangers have on no less than 4 occasions requested that the Western Australian Police attend with a view to arresting me for holding political protest signs and or for placing a small backpack, this one here, on the pavement, and given that I know as a result of an FOI request, the senior city ranger wanted me prosecuted, and given that on one occasion the former manager of community development approved the calling of the police to attend to prosecute me when she and 3 rangers surrounded me while I was peacefully protesting on my own outside council house, and given that on each occasion no arrest was made because the police determined that the conduct to be lawful, peaceful and non-obstructive. And given that the Commissioner of Police, Cole Blanche, stated publicly on ABC News on the 19th of February 26 last month, and I provided the link, that a permit is not required unless a protest encroaches on a road, and given I have advised the Perth Events Unit of my protest on Easter Saturday, 4th of April, will proceed without a permit, and they have not advised me that a permit is necessary, will the Council confirm whether a peaceful protest of approximately 20 to 30 people to be held on Easter Saturday, this coming Saturday in the Perth CBD, which will be consistent with 24 prior protests conducted over the past 2 years and which did not encroach on roads or obstruct pedestrian access, can proceed lawfully without any permits, and whether the council officers will refrain from requesting police attendance for the purpose of stopping or arresting participants in such circumstances, or do they intend to call the police with the intent of arresting participants who are holding a handheld sign without a permit from either the police or the council?
Okay, thank you, Stuart. I'll just pop that question through to the CEO.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. If I could ask the General Manager, Community Development to respond, please.
Thank you, and through you, Lord Mayor. Permits for public meetings and processions are administered by the WA Police under the Public Order in Streets Act 1984. We advise you to contact the WA Police as the responsible authority.
Thank you. Next question.
I'll go to question 4. How does the council address the inherent conflict of interest in circumstances where the CEO is effectively recommending changes to our own performance review process and the proposed changes result in a structure where a staff member appointed by or a subordinate to the CEO becomes a voting participant in that review process? In what way does this arrangement satisfy basic principles of procedure and in what way does this arrangement satisfy basic principles of procedural fairness and independent oversight?
Okay, thank you for the question through to the CEO.
Thank you. If I could invite the Executive Director, Governance and Strategy to respond, please.
Through you, Lord Mayor. The report you are referring to is an administrative response to a notice of motion initiated by an elected member. Council has adopted the model standards for CEO recruitment, performance and termination, which at clause 16 states that the local government and the CEO must agree on the process by which the CEO's performance will be reviewed, and any performance criteria to be met by the CEO that are in addition to the contractual performance criteria. In summary, the CEO performance review process cannot be undertaken without the involvement of the CEO. Council is required to ratify any recommendation of the committee. Therefore, final decision-making would not involve the Chief People Officer if Council resolved to appoint them to the committee, as the committee has no delegated authority.
Okay. And we're actually over, Stuart. So I do have to be fair to everyone. So really appreciate your time, and fantastic to see you again. Can I now please ask Jason Bowe to please step forward? If Jason's here, he has some questions. No, Jason's not here, so we'll take those questions on notice. We do have questions on notice from Stephen Wellard from West Perth 6005. Steve's here. Steve, would you like to come forward? State your name, your suburb, and fire away.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. Steve Wellard, ratepayer from West Perth. My first question, on the 23rd of October 2025, the City sent a letter to affected residents advising the 3-bin food organics and garden organics FOGO service is due to roll out in May this year, so that's just over 1 month's time. At the City of Perth Western Residents Association AGM...
Steve, I do have to interrupt you there. The questions that we have on notice, that one doesn't align with that one. When did you send that through?
That would have been sent 5 minutes before the second one and 10 minutes before the third one.
Okay, yeah, okay. Do you want to read it out? We can take it on notice because it's not on our list. Sorry about that.
How many did you have on the list?
We've got the 26th of, so the first one is the 26th of February 2026. I submitted a list of questions to City Admin. Then we've got what's the cause for the delay? And then the last one is can you be updated and corrected on travel costs?
Yeah, okay. So the first one didn't come through for some reason.
Sorry about that.
Let me just read the first one then, because that was the most important.
Okay.
So at the City of Perth Western Residents Association AGM on Friday, community concerns were raised over how to best manage the transition for FOGO, especially those households with large families, pet waste and extraordinary garden waste from those established trees in the area, and of course our wonderful cockatoo activity. Can the City advise if they intend to hold another FOGO introduction community information session with tips and training sessions prior to the May 2026 rollout? And if not, then is it possible for one to be arranged in each of the affected neighbourhoods before the rollout?
I've got to say that cockatoo activity this time of year, it is enormous.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. So look, we'll take that obviously on a notice and get back to you accordingly. Oh, okay. No, CEO says she's confident that we've got the answer for that one. I'll pop
Thank
that through
you.
to the CEO.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes, the city would be very happy to provide as much education and awareness raising as any member or members of our community would like. In addition to that, we are actually sending our team out to do some door knocking as well to assist at a very granular level with understanding of implications. So we'd be very pleased to offer further training and or awareness raising education, and also hopefully we'll be knocking on doors very shortly as well. Thank you.
Thank you. There were some genuinely concerned residents on Friday night, so that'd be appreciated.
Okay. You've got time for one more question.
Sure. I'll just go to the one that starts on the 26th of February 2026. I submitted a list of questions to the City Administration following the media publishing a summary of elected member travel costs tabled in the February OCM. A summary that had considerable missing data, unnamed people, references, and identified Councillor Gonzales as having arranged his own elected member travel and then billing his costs back to the city as expenses, a practice that may potentially allow the elected members to avoid declaring travel provider membership interests. When can I expect to have a response to all 11 questions? What or who is causing the information to be delayed? And can an updated and corrected elected member travel cost summary be included in the minutes of the March Ordinary Council meeting?
Okay, Steve, thank you very much for your questions. I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, and we do apologise for the delay. The information will be provided in the minutes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, questions with notice. Michelle Wright has got some questions. Is Michelle here? Yes. Michelle, please come forward. State your name, your suburb and your questions.
Thank you. Michelle Wright, and it says West Perth on there, but I'm East Perth.
East Perth, we can fix that.
Thank you. I might just start with question 3 to start with. Does the council have a social media code of conduct for councillors? And if so, how is it enforced to ensure online interactions remain respectful and aligned with city values? And if you need a legislative section 5.103E1E of the Act and Model Code of Conduct Regulations 2021.
Okay, thank you. I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor. If I could invite the Executive Director, Governance and Strategy to respond, please.
Through you, Lord Mayor. All elected members are required to comply with the Code of Conduct. For council members, committee members and candidates, the code which deals with breaches or alleged breaches.
And the second part, how is it enforced? The response to this?
Again, in accordance with the Code of Conduct, which is under the Local Government Act regulations.
Okay. I have some evidence here if I can submit that. Back to my first question, relates to 17.3, mitigation of city legal risks exposure. Just in terms of the first one, why did the CEO consider it appropriate to publish a report around an individual councillor rather than keeping it confidential item in full as required by the Act when dealing with the individual matters? Or is there sometimes further, or is there some furthermore making this public?
Michelle, can I just quickly stop you there? We can stop the clock. I'm just going to ask the CEO to leave because she does have a declared interest on something that is connected to this item.
Oh, okay, sure.
And we'll have that answered by our Head of Governance.
Of course, sorry. Or is there something further on making this public? Or does this risk weaponising or applying pressure beyond decision making?
Through to Head of Governance.
Through you, Lord Mayor. The Local Government Act requires that information be dealt with confidentially at a meeting only to the extent necessary to maintain confidentiality. While the attachment was determined to be confidential, the council report itself did not contain information that met this threshold or that was not already in the public domain.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And you do have room for one more quick question.
I'll be super quick. Why was the standard complaint process not utilised? And what advice has the Lord Mayor received from Walga, local government inspector or the monitor to justify not using established complaints process?
Okay, I'll quickly pop that through to Head of Governance.
Through you, Lord Mayor. The City has been in receipt of legal advice on this matter, and the City is unaware of any advice additional to the legal advice provided to the Lord Mayor.
Okay, and I'll just add that I'll take that question on notice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If we could please invite the CEO to come back. Thank you. Oh, hang on a sec, sorry. Next one, 17.3 as well. Thanks, Charlie. Thank you. I'd like to invite Loretta Boney to please come up. Loretta, please state your name, your suburb, and proceed with your question.
My name is Loretta Bonny from the City of Perth. My question is to the Deputy Lord Mayor Goncalves. At the 24 February Ordinary Council meeting, you stated on the public record that a matter involving the CEO and administration was subject to formal investigation by WorkSafe. So given the importance of accuracy in council proceedings, I ask, firstly, what specific verified information did you rely upon when making that statement? Did WorkSafe WA explicitly confirm that a formal investigation had commenced, yes or no? If no, such confirmation was provided, why was that statement made in council? In light of your subsequent statutory declaration, will you now formally correct or retract your original statement to ensure the accuracy of the public record? And lastly, given that WorkSafe has confirmed no formal investigation exists, will you issue a public apology on the council record to the CEO and administration?
Okay, thank you very much, Loretta. The Deputy Lord Mayor hasn't responded to that as yet. Deputy Lord Mayor, I guess the question I have is your original statement the response, or would you like to add anything further?
Yeah, I'm just happy that I completely agree with ensuring accuracy, and I think it's best that I refer back to my statement and I also refer back to my statutory declaration, which was duly authorised and witnessed.
Okay, thank you, Loretta. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, the CEO can come back now. Thanks. Okay, now I'd like to welcome Lincoln Stewart from Red Gully 6503. Stewart, if you could please state your name, your name, your suburb, and proceed with your question.
Thank you, Mr. Lord Mayor. Lincoln Stewart from Gingin. I'm here today as a local business owner. I'm going to ask the questions in the order of importance, just in case I run out of time, if that's okay with you. Most of my questions are around 17.3. They're not directly related to the CEO. First question is, will the City commit to undertaking an independent organisation-wide workplace culture review, including all staff, executive management, including the CEO, and additionally, will the current psychosocial hazard review be expanded to include all levels of the organisation, including the CEO, staff and elected members?
Okay, so Lincoln, some of your questions I actually ruled out of order. I believe the team may have sent you an email, so that was certainly one of those. So unfortunately, I'm gonna, if you don't have a list of which ones were in and out.
I do have the list. I don't believe that one was ruled out, Mr. Lord Mayor. I'm happy if you're ruling it out now. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
We'll take it on notice.
Okay. Second question is, has the City received any correspondence from current or former employees raising concerns about workplace culture, including allegations of bullying or inappropriate behaviour?
Seems to be a different list that you received, because that one's out of order.
Okay. Can I just confirm with you which ones you concur that were out of order, just so I don't want to overstep the line here?
All right.
So I had questions 1, 2, 3 out.
Okay, yes.
5 out.
So I'll give you a couple that you can. The employee and departure one, yes. Complaints and correspondence, yes. Executive turnover, yes. Growth in executive structure, yes. So if you want to pick one of those ones.
Okay, the complaints and correspondence was the one that I just read out. I'm happy to go to the other two that you've just said are okay, if that's
Yeah,
easier for
we
you.
could do that.
Yeah, sure.
Apologies for the.
So, okay, how many general managers and executive directors appointed between September 2020 and October 25 have departed the organisation within the same time frame?
Okay, I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Mr Stewart, for the question. This information is publicly available in the City's annual reports.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
How many additional general manager and executive director roles have been created since September 2020, and what has the total cost to the ratepayers been?
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, and thank you very much for the question. This information is publicly available in the City's annual reports.
Okay, one more question, and the rest we will take on notice and supply accordingly.
Thank you. I think the rest are ruled out. Or question 14, are you okay with that? I just want to make sure you're okay before I read it.
On the screen. It'll be on the screen when answer,
Can you see the screen there?
No, it's about the confidentiality of people reporting workplace incidents.
14's fine. Yep.
Does the city agree that any action, that one?
Okay, that's fine.
Does the city agree that any action which could be perceived as penalising employees or elected members for raising workplace concerns would undermine a safe reporting environment?
Okay, thank you. I'll put that through to the CEO.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, and thank you for the question. The City complies with all its obligations in relation to public interest disclosures and all other integrity body requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
For those questions. Okay, we'll now move to CEO. Have any other public questions received prior to or at this meeting?
No, Lord Mayor. My apologies, Lord Mayor. There have actually been two questions have been received from Mr Stuart Chapman with less than 24 hours notice.
We're smooth tonight.
Yep.
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing our best. Easter is coming. Okay, what we'll do now is, so thank you, CEO. A reminder that all questions will be included in the minutes of the meeting and a response will be provided in the agenda to the next ordinary council meeting. In accordance with the Local Government Administration Regulations of 1996, as a person presiding at this meeting, I can confirm that members of the public have been given equal and fair opportunity to ask questions as provided for by the local standing orders. In addition, information is available on the City's website regarding public question time. On those grounds, I am satisfied that the members of the public have been given the same opportunity to participate in this process. And as an alternative, you're welcome to contact the administration directly with any further questions. Moving to 7, which is confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move a recommendation that Council confirms that the minutes of the ordinary Council meeting for the 24th and 25th of February 2026 is a true and accurate record? Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Adam Pagan. A seconder, please. Councillor Coe. Put this motion...
Lord Mayor, before we vote, can I read out a statement, please, about this, which is a clarifying statement from Wolga?
You sure can.
Thank you. Wolga has advised that minutes cannot be amended on the basis that a statement may be untrue. The purpose of minutes is to record what occurred at the meeting. And further, the Guide to Preparation of Agendas and Minutes explains that at common law, a member who votes to confirm minutes is simply indicating confidence that those present at the meeting and responsible for preparing the minutes have produced an accurate record of proceedings. In this instance, the Deputy Lord Mayor did make a disclosure and the minutes appropriately attributed that disclosure to him. As there was no retraction or withdrawal made at the meeting, we are unable to amend the minutes or suggest that the disclosure was incorrect. I also note the administration has published a clarifying statement on the City's website. Accordingly, there is no other course of action than to affirm the minutes as a true and correct record of what was said. Thank you.
So now we can go back to the vote. That'd be correct, I think, in that process. So I have a mover and a seconder. I will now put that motion to a vote. All in favour? Okay, thank you. That has been carried fully. Item 8 is questions by members which due notice have been given. In accordance with clause 4.7 bracket 1 of the Standing Orders Local Law 2009, appropriate notice has been provided by 3 elected members of their intention to ask questions at this ordinary council meeting. 13 questions have been received by Councillor Doshi, 14 have been received by Councillor Leeser, and just ahead by a small margin of 15 questions has been received by the Deputy Lord Mayor David Gonsalves. In accordance with clause 4.7 bracket 2 of the City of Perth Standing Orders Local Law 2009, the responses to these questions have been provided to the elected members in writing and will be published in the minutes of the meeting. Is everyone okay with that?
I have a couple of follow-ups.
Okay, just 1 second. Just 1 second, I'm just going to make sure I'm doing the right thing here. Yep, that's fine.
Thank you very much. These questions relate to 17.3, so perhaps the people that need to leave the room for 17.3 should do that before I further.
Okay, thank you. Just be 1 second.
Thank you. So regarding the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held 24 February 2026 and the disclosure from Councillor Goncalves regarding a formal investigation, has the administration obtained legal advice concerning the discrepancy between his statement and the WorkSafe Commissioner's subsequent clarifying statement dated the 26th of February 2026?
Okay, thank you for the question. We'll take that on notice.
Has the City sought legal advice to determine if the statutory declaration read into the public record last week affects the City's liability or risk profile?
Thank you. We'll take that one on notice.
Based on the current advice, has the statement within the statutory declaration reduced the identified risks to the City?
Thank you. We'll take that on notice.
I have a further one. On the recent following the report at the February 2026 meeting identifying 7 code of conduct complaints against elected members in 2026, how many now have been additionally lodged since that date?
Thank you. We'll take that on notice.
Regarding the Lord Mayor's withdrawal from 4 speaking engagements in Houston, what are the total costs incurred by ratepayers for cancelled flights, hotel bookings and administrative preparation time?
Thank you. We'll take that on notice. And Houston is a funny one. I have problems with that sometimes as well, and Huston for some reason. But anyway, next question.
That's
Okay, Councillor Doshi, I believe you have some questions.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. My first question is on number 2 on page 2 of 14. Was the CEO informed of the Lord Mayor's intentions not to attend Sarah Week prior to the 7:15 email that was received on the 19th of March? My question is to you, Lord Mayor. Did you? And if not, why?
I spoke to the CEO at our one-to-one leading into that, and I explained that I did have an issue with my back. I explained that I was getting a whole range of different treatments, etc., and that I would let her know accordingly.
So may I just ask for the record, when was that one-to-one? What date was the one-to-one?
Just 1 second. The head of governance has just explained and reminded us that we can ask the CEO to back into the chamber, provided there's no questions on 17.3. No? Okay, thank you. Okay, next question.
So I'll repeat my question. Was the CEO informed of the Lord Mayor's intentions not to attend Sarah Week prior to 7:15 on email on the 19th of March? My question is to the CEO now. She's back in the room.
Sorry, I've already answered that question. So next question, please.
So can I ask the CEO?
No, next question. I've answered it.
Okay. So can you sort of clarify when that one-to-one was? What date was that one-to-one you referred to, Lord Mayor?
I'll take that on notice.
On notice.
It's no discussions, just straight questions, Councillor, and Councillor questions that you've already sent through.
Okay. Has a medical certificate been provided to the city to support the Lord Mayor's cancellation of the trip? And what date was that issued?
The question here says, has a medical certificate been provided to the city to support the Lord Mayor's cancellation? That's the question that you've submitted, Councillor, and the answer to that one is yes.
Okay. And that will be all from me.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay. We can move on to item 9. Correspondence. Item 9. Correspondence has been received from Vicky Ranishevsky, which relates to agenda item 17.3 in accordance with clause 4.8 of the Standing Local Law 2009. CEO doesn't have to leave while I read that out. Is that correct? Yep, okay, that's fine. The correspondence is provided to form elected members' considerations of 17.3. A reminder that this correspondence is not subject of discussion or questions from members. Item 10, which is petitions. No petitions have been received. Items we will now move to report on blocks. Before we move to all the officers' report, the following reports have been identified to be moved on block. 11.1, which is the draft noise attenuation local planning policy. 15.1, which is the monthly statement financial statements for January 2026. 15.2 is the schedule of accounts paid for January 2026. Let's just say 2026. 17.2, amending the terms of reference for council committee meetings, recordings of meeting. Do any electors wish to have any of those extracted on block?
Yes, Lord Mayor. 17.2, I submitted an amendment.
Okay, we'll pop that onto the agenda. Any others? It's okay. I'll now to those 3 remaining items. We'll move a motion to have those to be dealt on block. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gobbett. This motion can now be voted on. Those in favour? Okay, that has passed. Thank you. We move to item 11.1, which has just been successfully passed on block. Item 12, 13 and 14, there are no reports for those items. Item 15, Corporate Service Alliance Report. 15.1 is the monthly financial statements. That has been passed on block. 15.2 is the schedule of accounts paid for January 2026. That has been passed on block. We'll now move to item 17, which is the Chief Executive Officer Alliance Reports. 17.1 is consideration of decisions from the Electors General Meeting for 27th of January 2026. Before we move that, I would like to make a recommendation that we split these items so we can quickly go through them one by one. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gobbett. Can we put that to the vote? Those in favour of splitting those items? Yep, you just want to double check? Yep, okay, no problem. Those against? Okay, no one against? Okay, thank you, that's passed. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll move to those items one by one. So in response to decision 1, can I please have a mover? Councillor Lisa. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Ma. Can I please, if anyone would like to speak for or against that decision?
I would speak, Lord Mayor.
Fire away.
This will probably be a statement for all of the items, given that we've just split them up. So I'll say it once and I won't say it again.
No problem.
I thank the electors for their motions, and some of them are here tonight, so thank you very much. Normally at an electors meeting, we have 2 or 3 electors only. The last meeting we have over 100. I note one of the motions, a motion of no confidence, was not allowed by the Lord Mayor to be tabled, so that's not made its way to this paper. This report shows that we have taken decisions from the January electors meetings seriously. While we are not legally bound by these decisions, we have a duty to consider them thoroughly, and I believe the administration has provided a balanced response to each. So thank you very much to the electors and to the administration for your work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now back to decision number 1. Would anyone like to speak for or against that motion? No, we've actually voted on that one, haven't we? No, we haven't. We're about to vote on it. Those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Okay, now in respect to decision 1, can I please have a mover for decision 2, sorry? Councillor Lisa. And can I have a seconder? Councillor Paikin, thank you. Councillor Lisa, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I am moving an alternate motion to this one.
Okay, just before you go forward, I'd just like to foreshadow I've also got an alternate to this motion. So if yours fails, we will go to... That's correct? Is that the way I say that? All right, just a sec. Just going to make sure we do this correctly. Just back to the first one, we had Councillor Lisa and Councillor Paikin second that, and then we put that to the vote, and that was passed unanimously. That's correct. So that's fine. So now we're moving to item 2, which is decision 2. Sorry. We just voted. Yep. It's all right. It's just up here. If you can just change the second one to be decision 2. We did. It was unanimous. Yep. Yep. So this one now is Councillor Lisa is just putting an alternate up, and I'm foreshadowing an alternate.
We're on this one.
No.
We haven't voted on it yet.
We did. All right. There's a bit of discrepancy around whether we voted on the first one, so just we'll go back.
You voted on that first one, which is 12 decisions. And now the results of decision 1 were moved and seconded, and then Councillor Lee's raised. We haven't finalised. I don't think this is annual report, financial statements. This is accepting the annual report.
No, just be 1 second. I'm just going to clarify this because I think I might be right. Okay, so that there was talking about. Okay, so if we can just look at the recommendation. So we originally voted to split them. Then we went to the first one, which Councillor Lisa and Councillor Ma. And just to make sure we're correct, can we just pop that to a vote again, please? Those in favour? Considering of point 1, which is in accordance with section 5.33 bracket 1.
Yep. Could I just confirm who the mover and the seconder?
That was Councillor Lisa and Councillor Ma. Okay, all right. So then they're in a correct weight. Then decision 1, which was 24-25. Yep. Yep. So it doesn't say. Yep. That's right. So in response to decision 1, which acknowledges that the 24-25 annual report incorporating the financial statements and orders report were accepted. Now, can I, just to make sure, can I have a mover? Councillor Leeser.
I'm
and a
happy to
second.
move, but that was not the one that I was going to do.
I
the
know,
alternate.
yeah, I know. If we check the tape, I know what's going to be. Yeah. And then can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Pagan, thank you. If anyone would like to speak for or against that decision one? No, that's fine. So now, if we can go back to the vote. Those in favour? Yep. Okay, that's passed. Thank you. Yep. So now we'll go back to the second one. I'll just read it out again to keep us up to speed. So in response to decision 2, can I please have a mover, Councillor Leeser, and can I have a seconder, Councillor Doshi, and then you would like to raise an alternate?
Yes, thank you, Lord Mayor. Would you like me to read it into the record?
Just before you do, I certainly do. I'll just foreshadow that I also have an alternate if your alternate does not get up. That's correct. Okay, thank you. Over to you. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I'm changing. So this has been in consultation with Ms Henriques, who has originally put the motion up at the electors meeting, so thank you very much for that. And after the further information from the ABS, she asked me to change the item to be more of an advocacy and safety response to the challenges created by vacant premises. So the alternate motion now reads, in response to decision 2, point A, requests the CEO to advocate to the state government to investigate a review of the current legislative framework relating to differential ratings to address identified gaps in how long-term underutilised properties can be considered within rating structures. Part B, requests the CEO investigate targeted support for property owners and businesses impacted by unoccupied properties, including consideration of grants, assistance to improve security safety measures on properties that are feeling the impact of antisocial behaviours that derive from unoccupied properties in the City of Perth. And point C, requests the CEO to prepare a report to the elected members outlining options to facilitate and incentivise building owners to utilise unoccupied buildings.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Doshi, as a seconder, would you like to speak to the motion? Would anyone like to speak for or against the motion?
I'll just say a few more words.
Just if anyone, just 1 second, sorry, before you close. Anyone like to speak for or against the motion? Thank you. And then over to you, Councillor Leeser, to close.
Thank you. I'm moving this alternate motion because it represents a strategic and responsible shift in how we address the challenges of vacant or unoccupied properties. The intent of the original Fair Rates Active City motion put forward by Ms Henriques remains. However, listening to the professional advice and from our administration, Ms Henriques has proposed this change. Further information provided makes it clear the current legislative framework and previous SAT decisions create significant risks for direct differential rating approach. This alternate motion avoids legal overreach and potential costs to ratepayers by focusing on 2 practical pillars. First, to advocate for legislative review, and second, to take immediate action on safety. This is a balanced, safety-first approach that moves us forward without exposing the city to unnecessary risks. I believe this is the most responsible way to achieve a safer and more active city, and I urge my fellow councillors to support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Leeser. We'll now move that to a vote. Those in favour of the alternate? Councillor Pagan, Councillor Leeser, and Councillor Doshi, thank you. Okay, so that alternate has been lost, so I will go back to the foreshadowed alternate motion and I'll read that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Pagan, thank you. Okay, I'll quickly just read out my pattern. Okay, the proposed alternate motion reads as follows, that recommendation 3 bracket A and 3 bracket B deleted and replaced with the following. In response to decision 2, notes A, that the limitations and risks associated with implementing a differential rates for unoccupied buildings under the current legislative framework. B, requests that the CEO prepare a report to elected members that assess the scale and distribution of a long-term, which is 12 months or longer, unoccupied commercial tenancies across the city. 2, outlines the key economic, safety and city service impacts associated with vacancy. 3, examines policy options available to the city, including incentives, regulation mechanisms, differential rating where permissible, and data or transparent measures. 4, provides clear legal advice outlining what this is and what is and isn't achievable under the current legislative framework. And 5, outlines the recommended next steps, including any staged or pilot approach. So the reason for these alternate motions, so there are some areas that we are similar, and there's also some areas that are slight differences. I thank you, Councillor Leeser, for your input, but also to Amber Lee. This has been something that has obviously been on the agenda at the City by many stakeholders for some time. This amendment ensures that City takes a considered, evidence-based approach to addressing long-term vacancy rather than implementing measures that may not be supported under the current legislative framework. It recognises while vacancy is a legitimate concern, the available tools are constrained and any response must be legally sound, targeted and effective. By requesting a structured report, this approach enables Council to fully understand the scale and impacts of vacancy, assess the range of available policy options, and identify practical next steps, including any stage or pilot implementations. This ensures future decisions are informed, proportionate, and aligned with the City's broader economic and operation objectives. Would anyone else, seconder, would you like to speak for or against the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Lord Mayor. And also thank you, Councillor Leeser and Amber Lee. At the end of the day, both motions were very, very similar, and it's clear that we do have the same vision. And as a business owner and ratepayer, there's nothing more that I hate more is seeing empty buildings run down in the city. For me, the reason why I lean towards this motion as opposed to Councillor Leeser's was purely because one of your points you mentioned, I think it was grants and incentives, and the fact that we've already got the business improvement grants targeted for people to take up underutilised spaces, and yet I still have so many commercial properties that are empty on my street. I just like the direction of this motion and I'm willing to support it. Thank you.
Okay. Would anyone like to speak for or against this alternate motion? Councillor Marr.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And to me, I think there's merit in both motions. And from my point of view, they're both about getting started, advocating, supporting affected businesses, and looking at ways that we can activate these spaces now. But why I, again, echoing Councillor Patton, lean towards the Lord Mayor's motion is that I think it focuses on understanding the issue properly first and looking at the scale of vacancy, the impacts, and what tools are actually available to us within the current framework. So, yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Leeser, for your motion. And I actually am supportive of incorporating point A, advocacy to the state government and to investigate potential reforms to the legislative framework. But I was just asking if an amendment can be, another point can be added. Thank you.
Yes, with the agreement of the mover and sector, we can add that point. I'm in agreement. Seconder?
Yeah, I'd also agree to that.
Yep, no problem. Just give them a second, Councillor Marr, just to write that in. And if you can just check the screen and when it's up there, just clarify that's your intention. Do we need to vote on that? Okay. Is that as intended?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We don't need to vote on that. That can just be amended. Did you have anything else to add?
No, thank you, Lord Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak for or against this?
Hi, Lord Mayor. Can I just say something?
Sure.
I don't want to sound like a bit of a party pooper, but I think being part of this council since October 2020, there's a little bit of institutional memory here. This report actually says something like this has been tested twice in SAT. That's number one, okay? The other thing is, I remember very early on in this is not a new idea, very, very early on in our term, we've had former councillor Di Bain actually mention ideas like this. We have, and the Fremantle example was actually brought up during one of the EMESs. I actually went back and had a look at some of my old notes, and Councillor Gobbett, you can correct me here. I found that you were the chair of this policy meeting on the 8th of February 2022, and in there was an extensive briefing of how rates are actually set. And because of how the legislation is written on how rates are set, I'm just going to read out here what's actually written here in the SAT decision. So it says here, it was stated that local governments cannot impose a differential rate simply on the basis of nominated characteristics. And you have nominated some characteristics here already. So for example, the 12 months or longer. Like that is one thing that I'm going to see resistance here. Okay. Now, in saying that, I'm not against bringing something back and just telling all the councillors again the exact same thing again. If you guys want to spend money on that and administration time on that, I am supportive of that, but I am not hopeful, and I'm sorry to be the party pooper.
What we're here for, Councillor, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. Would anyone else like to speak for or against?
Yep, happy to speak. And sure. I really appreciate that advice, because having that institutional knowledge with Dr. Victor Coe's 5 years of experience is really important. I think the Lord Mayor's alternate really speaks to the fact that it provides for pathways to enable the electors well. We saw the electors bring up an issue. We saw that they do have issues with certain characteristics, as was said. We can't escape those characteristics, but what we can do is work in good faith and in partnership with the electors, take on those ideas, take on that feedback, and then try to advocate and to see what levers we do have. And we do have many levers. They may not be perfect. Some of those levers might be quite rusty and quite cumbersome, as the SAT no doubtably has restricted. But I think in good faith we can work with our state counterparts to find solutions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? No? Okay, well in that case I will close. So councillors, this isn't a question of whether vacancy is an issue. We know that it is. I have met and spoken with many people on this very issue in the last 6 months, and the consistent feedback from property owners, developers, city shapers and stakeholders is that long-term land bank vacant property is having a measurable impact on activity, safety and investment in the city. The question before us is how we respond. A vacant property differential is not a simple mechanism. Granted, it raises legal constraints, definitional complexity, and the risk of unintended consequences if not structured properly. Acting without clarity does not create or accelerate outcomes. It delays risk, creates risk, challenge, and ultimately ineffective policy. This amendment is meant to take a measured approach. It seeks a clear understanding around the scale of vacancy, the impact to the city, and the options available within the current legislative framework. That includes incentives, tools, regulatory tools, and any mechanism that are both lawful and workable. I take your point, Councillor, and it is well made. I am a believer that in order to be able to find a solution, you have to focus on the problem, and this is a mechanism for us to really be able to drill down on that problem. We all want the same outcome. We want a more vibrant, active city. So with that, I'll now put that motion to a vote. Thank you. Those in favour? Okay. Those against? Okay, that one has been passed. It's just one against. It's Councillor Doshi. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to decision 3. Can I please have someone to raise that motion? A mover? No? Councillor Gonsalves? Can I have a seconder? Councillor Marr? Mover, would you like to speak to the motion?
I was happy to move it, but I do not actually agree. I think we should have a review of our CCTV camera network. I support the will of the electors, and so just move it onto the floor, and I'm happy to vote against it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Marr? Would anyone like to speak for or against this motion? Okay, thank you. For those in support of the motion, yeah, please vote. Yeah, accordingly. I'll vote. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one has been failed. Thank you. In response to decision 4, can I please have a mover? Need a mover. Councillor Patton, seconder. Councillor Bacon. Okay. Move, would you like to speak for or against the motion? Seconder? Anyone? Okay, let's put that to a vote. Those in favour? That has passed. Thank you. Decision 5. Can I have a mover, please?
That was we just passed decision 5, Lord.
Yeah, that was, sorry, 0.5 decision 4. This is 0.6 decision 5. So, yep, so it's decision 5. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bacon. Seconder? Councillor Gobbett. Move, would you like to speak on that item? Seconder, no. Would anyone like to speak for or against that motion? No, thank you. Those in favour? Okay, that one is passed. Okay, in response to decision 6, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Leeser, can I have a seconder? Councillor Bacon. Councillor Leeser, would you like to speak for the motion? Seconder? No, thank you. Anyone? No, let's put that to a vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Now we're getting on a roll. Now, decision 7, can I have a mover, please? I'm going to move that one. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Bacon, thank you. I don't wish to speak on that motion. Would anyone else like to speak on the motion? Seconder, no. Thank you. Let's put that to a vote. Thank you. Let's move now to decision 8. I'll move that motion. Can I have a seconder, please? Gee, we've got Councillor Bacon. Got a shy bunch tonight. It's a good sign. I don't wish to speak on this motion. Would anyone else like to speak on the motion? No. We can put that to a vote. Those in favour? Okay. In response to decision 9, can I have a mover, please?
Lord Mayor, Councillor Leeser didn't vote in the previous item when you called the vote.
Oh, that's okay. No problem. We caught that. Thank you. And we've got that noted, that Councillor Leeser voted for that one. Okay. Decision 9. Councillor Deputy Lord Mayor has moved that. Can I have a seconder, please? Okay. Councillor Patton. Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like to speak on that item?
Thanks. Just briefly, this is an amazing motion to see from the community of and from the community where the electors AGM is working as intended. An elector has come to council asking for the naming of a small park that used to be the historic tramway line, and I commend the efforts there. It's this historic area around ABC Perth and the TAFE, and yeah, I commend the use of the electors meeting to achieve changes like this.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, would you like to speak on that motion? Would anyone like to speak on the motion? For or against? No. Okay, let's put that one to a vote. Those in favour? Okay, those against? Okay, just Councillor Bacon's against, and then the rest is in favour. Now we'll move to decision 10. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Leeser, can I have a seconder? I'll second it. Councillor Lee, would you like to speak on that motion?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I note that there is an amendment coming, and I point out that there's been no discussion on this amendment with the councillor, and that it was sent with 1 hour's notice, which is what I referenced before. And while the intent to progress the reconciliation strategy is definitely supported and already underway by the city, the 30th of June deadline is unrealistic and culturally insensitive. It places artificial constraints on our elders and community partners. A more robust approach would be to request a progress report by the 30th of June with
Sorry,
the final
Lord Mayor,
position.
Just a point of order. It seems like the councillor is referring to the amendment rather than the matter on hand.
Yes, that's correct. We haven't moved the amendment yet. Okay, is there anything further, Councillor Leeser?
No.
No, that's fine. Thank you. I'm the seconder. I don't wish to speak on that motion.
I'm happy to move an amendment.
Okay, just 1 second. We'll just get that up. I have a seconder, please? Anyone like to second that? Yep, Councillor Marr, thank you. Okay, we'll just get that amendment up. Okay, so if we can now consider that amendment, if you would like to read out those amendments.
I'll just bring up the amendment is in front of us. If that's, would you like me to read it out entirely? Just what's in green. So read. Yep. Changes.
Well, not just the changes. Read the section B, the whole.
Okay.
The whole
thank you.
question. For that,
so B is amended to support the continued facilitation of the city engagement with the Aboriginal community to inform future cultural programming, brackets including events on January 26th, by proposing a cross-government roundtable with First Nations representation and relevant state and Commonwealth portfolio representatives. C changes to the only change is brackets not city-led is changed to in partnership with community leadership. F requests the CEO to present options through the existing 26-27 annual budget setting process for funding towards a First Nations-led event to be held on the 26th of 27 and present, and I've just lost the rest on the screen, but if that could, and present this for further consideration at a future MES.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, DLM, for bringing up this amendment. I think recognising that engagement should not just be consultative, but also collaborative with First Nation voices and helping to guide and shape outcomes. I think that is incredibly important, and ensuring that decisions made by the city are informed by those with lived experience, deep cultural knowledge and strong connection to community. And for those reasons, I want to support this amendment and encourage my fellow councillors to also support DLM's amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the amendment?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Leeser, over to you.
Thank you. As I said before, I point out that I have had no discussion on this with the councillor on this amendment, and it was set with 1 hour's notice. Further, we have an email to say that the city was unable to provide any comment. This kind of exclusion of notice was flagged in the psychosocial risk report. But that aside, while the intent to progress the reconciliation strategy is definitely supported by me and already underway by the city, the 30th of June 2026 deadline is unrealistic and culturally insensitive. It places an artificial constraint on our elders and our community partners. A more robust approach would be to request a progress report by 30th of June, with the final position to be determined only once the Elders Advisory Group confirms the consultation phase is complete. As such, I'm not in favour of this last-minute amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against this motion? Okay, Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like to...
Sorry, I just have a question. Because this was last minute, is there any feedback from the administration regarding the last minute motion that was put forward, the amendment, and what potential impacts it could have?
Thank you. Through the CEO.
Thank you. I can talk really to the notice of motion prior to the amendment, and we are well, I think, progressing a very robust consultation process with First Nations. I think, as was discussed at the agenda briefing session, we had the great fortune to be involved in listening to a group of some 30 First Nations people, and this is all in the response to the original proposal. And they were very clear on what their expectations were. In addition to that, we've been working very collaboratively with Reconciliation WA and our elders separately. So we are very confident that we are on a journey, a respectful journey, and one of truth-telling with so many opportunities that lay ahead. So we would like very much to continue that dialogue and also the good faith, I think, that has been established by bringing that group together. And so to discontinue what we have started would be unfortunate.
Thank you. I do have a question. Those amendments about discontinuing that, I'm just trying to, it says in partnership with Aboriginal community leaders. Would that be fair? It's a bit hard because you can't see the amendment.
I'm
from
sorry,
me.
Lord Mayor, I didn't get a chance to see the amendment, so as I stated at the very beginning, I can only talk to the response to the initial motion. But again, the course that we are on as part of the initial response is very robust, very sound, and I think is being very positively received. I'm uncertain as to the content of the amendment, so I'm unable to comment.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion? Would you like to close, Deputy Lord Mayor?
Thank you. I note that I read the motion in, but I didn't speak to it, so I take that opportunity now. So I speak in support of this amendment because it supports and uplifts election and electors' motion in the way good governance should. It respects the electors, it respects the work already done, but importantly, it adds a structure to turn engagement into action. Decision 10, the report already tells us important things. It tells us that initial consultation has occurred. It tells us that feedback supports a First Nations-led event, but it reminds us and in my interpretation urges us that we have a duty as council to ensure that storytelling, truth-telling and cultural participation should always sit at the centre of genuine partnerships with the City of Perth. I want to remind council that it was not sent with 1 hour's notice. It was technically sent with 1.5 hours notice prior to the meeting, and it was and it is also unfortunate that Councillor Lees has cast dispersion on a fellow elected member in raising the psychosocial hazard report. I would myself clearly reframe that and highlight that the psychosocial
Councillor, let's stick to this
hazard
item,
report.
please.
Happy to. Providing that at the time that I did was under the pressures that we as elected members are under and was within hours of Councillor Lee's amendment herself that she submitted earlier in the day. So I would urge council to get back onto the business and look at what is the intent from the electors. This was a unanimous vote, a vote that was heartfelt and touching to see that the electors themselves wanted to see progress. And it's important for us as council to take that duty and the responsibility to make sure that process is genuine and it's uplifting. And this is what this amendment does.
Okay, thank you. All right, well put. Let's put the amendment to a vote. Those in favour? Those against? Okay, thank you. Councillor Doshi and Councillor is against, that's fine. Okay, so now we'll go back to the original as amended. So, Councillor Leeser, did you want to speak to that motion?
I need to correct the record. I sent my amendment in yesterday, and all the elected members are aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There was another one today, though, wasn't there?
No, it was the same one.
Right. Okay, I don't wish to speak on this motion at all. Would anyone else like to speak on this motion?
Do we have a mover and seconder?
Yes, Councillor Leeser and myself.
I wish to move an amendment.
A further amendment?
No, the existing amendment.
Yeah, that's already been passed, so that's included.
No, for decision 11, there was the amendment I provided was obviously not split because that was not forewarned. So decision 11 is.
Yeah, so let's just stick to 10, and then
sorry.
you can amend 11 when we get to it.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, no problem. Okie doke. I think we're ready to go to a vote on that one. Okay, so we're going to vote on decision 10 with the amendment in place. Those in favour? Those against? Okay, thank you. Councillor Doshi and Councillor Leeser against. Okay, now we'll move on to decision 11. Can I have someone to move that motion, please? Councillor Leeser, can I have a seconder? I'll second it. On there. Okay. Councillor Leeser, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to say that we've just heard the substantial engagement that the CEO has spoken about. I think it would be useful to understand. Can I ask a question of the CEO to understand the difference between the reconciliation plan and the RAP? Because that is a confusing point generally. So I think instead of me trying to explain it, I'll leave it to the experts. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pop that through to the CEO.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, and thank you for the question, because there is some IP associated with the use of the name Reconciliation Action Plan. So I'm going to invite the General Manager, Community Development, to explain that to us. Thank you.
Is it on? It's on now? Fabulous. Thank you for the opportunity to provide clarity, because it is obviously causing some confusion in the community and in general. The Reconciliation Action Plan is a Reconciliation Australia format. It is their intellectual property. We do not have a Reconciliation Action Plan, we have a Reconciliation Plan. So both progress reconciliation, and it's a format issue and a length issue. One of the critiques is that the Reconciliation Australia's RAP is for all organisations, so it's quite generic and it's very internally focused, whereas for a local government context, quite a few organisations, quite a few local governments are moving away from that. For context, in case it helps, when we did a search on the Reconciliation Australia's website using, because they list all of their RAPs, looking at the search terms for under industry, local government and selecting WA, 7 of WA's 139 local governments have a RAP, and we were able to find several local governments that have their own bespoke reconciliation plan or strategy. I hope that helps clarify.
Yes, thank you very much, and I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, as a seconder, I have nothing further. Would anyone like to speak on the motion?
I'll just take that opportunity to move my amendment.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. We'll need a seconder for that. Councillor Marr?
Thank you. I'm happy to. Would you like me to read it out?
Yeah, exactly the same as last time.
Thank you.
Part that has the amendment, the full paragraph, please.
Thank you. So A becomes supports the existing City of Perth's Reconciliation Action Plan, full stop, and B becomes defers consideration of the re-establishment of and the City's position on a RAP working group to an EMES to be held on the 30th of June to be informed by community and First Nations consultation.
Okay,
I
thank
have a
you.
question, Lord Mayor.
Just 1 more second. I'll just get the seconder to see if seconder, would you like to speak? Look, I'm just going to, there's just a couple of quick questions there by administration around, one, elected members not being able to call on EAMS, but also around the terminology of the existing RAP. So I'll pop that through to the CEO who will be able to explain that.
And if I could invite the General Manager, Community Development, to talk in relation to the RAP issue. I think in relation to the EMES matter, that would be an item for governance to discuss.
Thank you, and through the Lord Mayor, the amendment as it stands is something we cannot do because we don't have a reconciliation action plan. We have a reconciliation plan. So it's a small point of difference, but important because it's somebody else, some other organisation's IP. So we have to be careful with wording.
So in that case, there will need to be an amendment. Yes. So are you okay with that
I'm
amendment?
happy to delete the word action in 12A with the agreement of the seconder, Councillor Marr.
Are you okay? Okay, well, that's fine. Thank you. And we'll quickly just check governance in regards to the MES. We might have just changed that wording to request, but I'll just check. Just a quick one to the CEO. The last line, if we can pop that through to our GM, that says a RAP working group. Does that need to be changed as well? Okay. So, and that would, the wording would be.
Through you, it could be just reconciliation plan working group.
All right. Cool. So we'll just give the team just a second to put that in. Doing an amazing job. Mover, are you okay with that amendment?
Happy for that. Just to clarify the EMES, would you
I'll
like
just
that?
get this amendment seconder.
Yes, happy.
Okay, and then we'll just go back to the EMES question. And I'll pop that through to Head of Governance.
Through you, Lord Mayor, council do not have the authority to call an EAMS meeting, but I'd inadvertently thought it said to be called on the 30th because it says to be deferred until an EAMS by the 30th. The CEO can determine the date of that EAMS, so that's fine.
So that's fine, and that could change by the sounds of it. Okay, so that has been amended. Would you like to speak to the motion? Does that sound right?
Yep,
Lost
thanks.
where we're at.
The electors were very clear, again, with the unanimous support here. We heard some really heartfelt input and some heartfelt urging from First Nations people. This report, as originally presented, points to the city's existing framework, but this should always be viewed with an eye on what is the next step. And we should be standing in a dedicated conversation that treats governance, accountability and transparency and respects what the electors are asking for. It should not be treated as a settled conversation before it's properly had. Deferring this question, because that is what it does, it defers the issue for us to be better informed to an elected members engagement session, is treating First Nations reconciliation with the seriousness that it deserves, with full consultation and engagement. Colleagues, this amendment is thoughtful, it's practical, it's not vague, and it particularly helps us to further consider rather than making a rushed decision. It keeps Aboriginal leadership at the centre, it respects the electors' intent, and most of all, it gives council a better basis for a future lasting decision.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? Councillor Leeser.
Thank you, and I reiterate my comments from before. I think putting an arbitrary deadline on it is unrealistic and culturally insensitive. It means we have to get our elders and community partners consulted in a very short period of time. I can't support it in this way because I think it's going to be very hard. The Elders Advisory Group, they consult as they consult. Their consultation is complete when they say it is, not when we put an arbitrary date on them. So I can't support this, even though it was given to me with 1.5 hours notice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. I agree with Councillor Leeser. The time in which we've had to digest this information and take any feedback on board is short, but I also have concerns, as well as our elderly advisory group, having the time to digest the information and attending a lot of these sessions. Everything does take time and consultation. So it's not a quick yes or a no or a tick or a flick. But more importantly, based on the psychosocial report, I have concerns that the 12-week deadline on administration adds increasing pressure to a team that's already finding a lot of the work that we're putting forward quite pressing. So I'm talking from the perspective of council giving another deadline and a time frame that might not be achievable for the admin.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? No? Okay, so we're going to put the amendment to a vote and then go back
Just
to...
close, if that's
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
just
you.
going to, just before we do, I was just going to explain. So we're going to put, shortly we'll put the amendment to a vote and then we'll be then going back to the original item with or without the amendment to a vote. So this vote isn't final, so to speak. So I'll pop you through to close.
Thank you. I take on the feedback from Councillor Leeser and Councillor Doshi, and I want to reiterate that there is no arbitrary deadline, none whatsoever. This is about a step-by-step process. The EMES and the date suggested enables us to have a 3-month window of engagement with ourselves. That is not a deadline. That is a check-in. That is for us to see where the consultation is at. We've had CIBNs, we've had other feedback come back to us where we should be properly informed, and that is the stage for that. It is a step-by-step process. I would rather frame this not as a deadline, but what it rightfully is, a process where we work in partnership with our elders, work with First Nations communities, and work with the broader community so that we as council have one thing and one thing alone: informed decisions, informed evidence, and informed community consultation. Then we can be making decisions into the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'd just like to just mention, when elected members are speaking, we don't have to agree with each other, but when they're speaking, we afford them the respect. So demonstrative behaviour or talking under your breath is not fair to the other members who are trying to consider what the speaker is actually saying. So we just please keep that in mind. Let's put this item to a vote. Those in favour of the amendment? Those against the amendment? Thank you. Okay, now we'll go back to the amendment as proposed. Okay, now we've got to work out who is speaking. Who was the original on that one?
Just double check that the result of that.
So the amendment was passed?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so now we'll go back to the original item as amended, and we'll double check that the mover was Councillor Leeser. That's correct. Ebony, could you just double check that? Yep, that's fine. Okay. Councillor Leeser, would you like to speak to the amended item?
I don't want to repeat the same thing for the fourth time, Lord Mayor, but I will note that the member to my right is muttering under his breath continually, so thank you for your reminder.
Point of order, Lord Mayor. Members aren't to impute the motives or adversely reflect on the actions of another member. I did no such thing.
Okay, just a sec. I'll just check on that point of order, please.
And that was under Standing Order 7.42A. Thank you.
Just be 1 second. If I don't know the answer and governance doesn't know the answer, that's probably a good sign.
Happy to raise another point of order under 7.6 that the member be directed to withdraw that remark.
Councillor Leeser, would you like to withdraw that remark?
I'm happy to withdraw the remark, but I still thank you for your comment, Lord Mayor.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. I don't have anything to add. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? No? Thank you. All right, let's, did you want to close? No. All right, so those in favour Okay, so, and then those against? All right, I'll put in my casting vote on that one, and that one has been defeated. We'll now move to item 12. Can I please have someone to move decision number 12? Councillor Lisa, anyone like to second that? I'll second that. Now, Lord Mayor, can I please have, would you like to speak to that motion? I don't wish to speak. Would anyone like to speak for or against? No, thank you. Let's put that to a vote. Those in favour? That has been passed. Thank you. All right, now we're over the hill, ladies and gentlemen. We'll move to item 17.2, which is amending the terms of reference for council meetings, which is recordings of the meetings. This item has been removed en bloc. So, Councillor Gonsalves, I'll have you as the mover on that one, if that's okay.
Sorry, it was removed from being on block.
That's right. So that's what you said. Yep. So
yep, but I have an amendment, so I'd rather not move it, even though I have pulled it.
Okay, I'll move it. Would someone like to second it? Councillor Lisa. Okay, mover to speak. I don't wish to speak on that item.
Yes, I'll speak. Thank you. I'm pleased to support this item, and I believe these tools should be utilised where it's sensible to do so. While some elected members may resist change, I think if a tool exists that can improve transparency or productivity, we should be leading the way rather than holding back. I'm in favour of this motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't wish to speak on this motion. Would anyone like to speak further or for or against this motion?
Thanks. I move my amendment.
Okay, we'll do that. So can I have a seconder, please, for that amendment? Councillor Patton, thank you. If you would like to announce your amendment.
Thanks. And I'll just read the two paragraphs. Any elected member may, through the Lord Mayor or the presiding member, request access to a confidential copy of the audio recording or transcript of the meeting for governance or verification purposes, subject to applicable confidentiality provisions. The next paragraph is council or a committee may, by resolution, require production of a city record, including recordings, transcripts and notes reasonably necessary for the exercise of its functions, subject to the Act and applicable confidentiality obligations. I'm happy to speak further to the amendment.
Okay, thank you. I will just see if the seconder would like to speak. No? Okay. Would anyone like to speak for or against? Does that go back to the Deputy Lord Mayor to speak for it, or he'll close? We'll do this rapid and close if that's okay. Councillor Doshi.
I'd like to move a procedural motion 12.1, Section a motion to be deferred, and the reasons why I would like that to take place is because this, again, has been a last-minute submission, and we don't have any advice or information from the administration to make an informed choice as to what we proceed with today. Thank you.
Okay, just 1 second.
Sorry, defer to the next OCM, the next meeting next month.
Yep, I'll need a seconder on that one. Councillor Lisa. Okay, so just a sec. Now we'll see what happens. I'm just going to ask the CEO to please explain to Council what she was just saying, mentioning to governance as part of the consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, for the opportunity. We haven't had an opportunity to really consider the consequences of this particular proposal, and the discussion and the information that has been provided to elected members relates to using Copilot not for the purposes of transcription, only for the purposes of very high level minutes. And so I am...
Sorry, Lord Mayor, I'm just, with the procedural, does it...
Councillor, just please let the CEO finish. It's just still going. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So I do have some concerns that we have not had the opportunity to provide the information which would enable you to make an informed decision. I'm cautious around unintended consequences. I'm particularly cautious around confidentiality and anything that we might inadvertently cause. So I would very much appreciate the opportunity to take this away to enable us to get some proper advice and then to provide you further information to assist in your decision making.
Okay, and just quickly, DLM, there's no debate on a procedural motion?
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out, that the CEO has now contributed to debate
Yeah, I've allowed it. That's
Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
But I wanted to raise that as a point of order in my own right.
Okay, thank you. No problem. Thank you. So we'll put that to the vote. So basically we've, actually, can I, I'm not last, can I? No, okay, cool. All right, that's fine. So let's put that to a vote to defer that, subject to administration having an opportunity to review. That's, okay, so those in favour of deferring? Okay, that one has been deferred, so thank you. We can move that to deferral. Now can I ask a question? It's my meeting. Okay, no problem. Let's move now to 17.3, which is mitigating risk, mitigating city legal risk. I'll ask the CEO to please, is required via financial interest to leave the chamber. Yep.
Lord Mayor, just to confirm that we are on what item?
So we're now on 17.3?
Thank you.
Yeah, we will be. Yep. Okay, so now we'll be moving item 17.3, but before so, this discussion may lead to the release of information relating to the personal affairs of a person in accordance with section 5.23, bracket 4, bracket B of the Local Government Act 1995. I will now move a motion to close the meeting to the public and pause the live stream. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gobbett. Can we put the motion to a vote? Okay, and those against? Councillor Lisa and Councillor Doshi. Okay, that has now been passed, so I'll please ask the gallery to vacate while we'll go through this confidentially, and we'll pause the live stream accordingly. And people can certainly be welcome back into the room. Yep, the DLM, members of the public. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the last stretch. We move to item 19, which is motions of which previous notice has been given. Item 19.1, which is the LiveVac Airway clearance device in city managed facilities. Can I please have a... It has to be, sorry, it just has to be Councillor Marr who raised the motion, sorry. So, Councillor Marr. And I've got a feeling the doctor's excited about this one, so Councillor Coe, we're going to put you in the seconder so you get a good chance to have a crack at this one. Mover, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, please, Lord Mayor. In a severe choking incident, brain injury can occur within 4 to 6 minutes. Yet ambulance response targets in WA allow up to 15 minutes for priority 1 calls. That means the most critical window to saving a life often occurs before emergency services arrive. For context, LiveVac is listed on the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods as a Class 1 medical device, and there are documented case reports of the device being used successfully in choking emergencies when standard first aid measures have failed. And several WA councils, including Joondalup, Wanneroo, Vincent, Stirling and Swan have already introduced these devices. At the same time, I acknowledge that there are different perspectives and ongoing discussions within the medical and first aid community about these devices. That is precisely why this motion does not propose installation tonight. It simply asks for balanced, evidence-based report so Council can properly assess the costs, risks and benefits. As we saw last week during the deputation, which I wish to acknowledge, there are individuals in our community, such as Brian Blogger, who have shown extraordinary commitment to advocating for this device following deep personal experiences. So if there's even a slight possibility that an additional tool could help save a life in those critical minutes before an ambulance arrives, then I think it's worth taking the time to properly examine it.
Thank you very much. And I'll move to the seconder to speak to the motion.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. All right, I'm actually the doctor in the room here. Okay. I'm not sure many of you actually know this, but the story behind automatic defibrillators. So defibrillators were originally used in, this is relevant, I swear, okay? It was actually used in the 1960s, and it wasn't to restart a heart that has stopped, it's actually to actually start a heart that's fibrillating, okay? And research showed that an early shock could save lives. That research translated to community use in the 1980s when the first automatic external defibrillators were invented. And you had multiple groups come and endorse this automatic defibrillator machine. Okay, you had the American Heart Association, Red Cross, ASCOR, Resuscitation Council coming together and basically saying, we need this in the communities because we know when you deliver that first shock, you will survive. Okay. Now, that took about 40 years to get that to happen. Devices, negative pressure devices such as LiveVac have only been around since 2012, 2013. There's 2 on the market at the moment, DeChoker and LiveVac. All right. And I can see the desire to implement something as fast as possible. And I'm telling the city now that it's okay to give a pass on this one. The reason why is that I've had a very, very good search, and I could not find a single reputable medical authority that has actually endorsed these negative devices. I'm just going to quote some of these groups. American Heart Association does not endorse or recommend anti-choking devices. American Academy of Pediatricians, no endorsements of LiveVac or similar devices, recommends chest thrusts and back blows as first line before using any other device. Australian Resuscitation Council does not endorse specific equipment, including LiveVacs. ANZCOR, the Australian New Zealand Committee of Resuscitation, continues to back back blows and chest thrusts, not endorsing suction devices. American Red Cross Scientific Association has basically said essentially the same thing: do the back blows and your chest thrust first before using a device. there's simply no credible major organization endorsing these negative pressure devices. And this is my big concern. Councils actually sticking their neck out to endorse this when the medical community has not. The evidence is a moving target. I also want to go back to the FDA's classification of this. So yes, so I'm not sure if you guys understand, but there's ATAGI, which is the Australian version, and then you also got the FDA, which is a much larger body. So the classification of a class 1 device, there's a couple of caveats to that. A class 1 device is the lowest regulation tier you can get. It's also the one with the minimum amount of scrutiny and compared to higher class devices. So just to be clear, it's basically safe to sell, but not endorsed as an anti-choking device. This is by ATRG, our FDA. And this is back in 31st of January 2017. So it hasn't been updated for almost 10 years. The other thing is the FDA in September 2025 has classified this as a class 3 medical device. What does class 3 mean? Okay, all right. Class 3 is basically a pacemaker, a cardiac stent, a cochlear implant, something that can cause harm. It's a class 3 medical device. In other words, it has the potential to cause harm. And the FDA put a warning to the company of manufacturing LifeVac to cease sales. This was only rectified in March this year. This is what I'm talking about. The evidence is moving. And we're turning around to endorse this. The other thing to be aware of is there are actually there's a lot of the cases where have positive stories have outcome. Look, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into the types of study. I'm not going to get into something called impact factor. I'm not going to get into something called level of evidence. It's just too complex for this room. I can't believe I'm saying that. It shouldn't be. It should actually be very straightforward, but people just don't understand it. Let me just put it simply. If a medical community, if the key resuscitation group in Australia endorses this advice, the council can hang their hat on it. But if it doesn't and has even the tiniest potential of causing harm, this is exactly the same situation when I talked about the e-scooters in 2020. Okay, and nobody listened to me, all right? And I'm saying it again now. All right, we can approve a study for it, but we really got to be cautious about deploying this into the community, knowing it even has the potential to cause harm. And there has been 3 studies out there, one being a cadaver study showing harm from this device. I think I've talked enough.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Coe. And would anyone else like to speak for or against? Councillor Bacon.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I'd like to start by commending Councillor Ma for bringing forward this practical and responsible motion. I do also want to acknowledge and thank Councillor Wolf from the City of Vincent, who is also a doctor and endorsed this, and Councillor Pisey from the City of Joondalup for sharing their experience. In fact, only last week it was reported to me that a child's life was saved at a City of Joondalup venue using one of these devices after first aid had failed. Other councils are already moving on this, so it makes sense that we properly assess it as well. And at the end of the day, it's a low-cost measure. They're about $160 each. And it's got the potential to save lives in our facilities. And we have a responsibility to consider it. So therefore, I strongly support this motion.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for? Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Councillor Dr. Coe. It was before I heard you speak, I thought this was going to be a no-brainer. But obviously your medical background is a lot more experienced than mine. However, we need to remember this motion is not about doing a rollout. It's about more of a feasibility. And I think given how touching the deputation was during the week, I would support the motion as it is more a feasibility study as opposed to a significant spend on council.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? Yeah, Councillor Doshi.
I'd like to amend the motion, please.
Okay, thank you. I'll need to get a seconder? Is that correct? Can I have a seconder, please, for an amendment?
Can we know what the amendment is before we...
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I've been thinking about this for a while because back in January last year, this particular item came up, and I did have a one-to-one with the then Lord Mayor, and it was mentioned in other businesses and EMES, but the administration haven't been able to find it. But like Councillor Pat Pagan, I spoke with Dr. Wolf from the City of Perth at length last year regarding this particular item that was passed at the City of Vincent. We now know that there are 4 councils that have spent their time doing all the studying, doing all the feasibility and doing all the background work. So the motion that I want to amend is to actually proceed with the implementation of the LifeVac in appropriate council facilities, to utilise the procurement, the policy setting and the implementation framework from our neighbouring councils where applicable. And the reason why I suggest that is because it minimises duplication of administration work and time, it will reduce cost for the ratepayer, and it will accelerate the delivery of these items. And C, to provide a brief update to elected members following the rollout rather than an investigation. Let's just get on and do it.
Okay, thank you. Would someone like to second that? Councillor Lisa, would anyone like? No, we don't speak for or against, do we? No? Yeah, would anyone like to speak for or against that amendment? Councillor?
It's a tough one. I understand what you're saying about duplicating the administration costs, but it's also hard to approve something when we don't know what the costs are going to be. So it's a bit of a sticky situation.
Question, Lord Mayor?
Yes. Councillor Gobbett.
If we're proceeding with the implementation rather than a investigation, can I seek some advice from governance as to how that's not an alternate and conflicts with the intent of the mover's motion?
Okay, just a second. I'll pass that through to governance.
Through you, Lord Mayor, I'd have to agree that wouldn't be an alternate. It does conflict with the intention of the original motion.
Okay, so then what does that mean? We're looking for an alternate?
The alternate would need to be changed so it doesn't directly conflict with the current motion. Suggest softening of it, maybe an investigation into implementation.
Okay, so we'll alter that to a investigation into implementation. Okay, as that comes up, if you can just double check that you're happy with that.
Yes, I did also say to utilise our neighbouring councils' procurement and implementation framework, so that way it reduces duplication of work for our administration, given the nature of it being in other councils that are close to us.
Okay, just 1 second. We'll just get that up and you can double check that. Still a little bit of a contradiction to the original one. So so it's not an amendment as it reads currently. So how can we help the councillor get there? Proceed with the implementation of installing. So proceed with the implementation.
It's an alternate motion, it's not an amendment.
Yeah. So
you need to foreshadow the original one if she's moving, if she's happy to move an alternate rather than an amendment.
all right. So maybe what we need to do is move an alternate. Is that it? Okay. All right. So that will foreshadow the original. Yep. Okay. So we'll foreshadow the original, and we'll just double. Secondary. Okay.
Can I just please make sure then on number 2, it's utilise procurement, policy setting and implementation framework from neighbouring councils where applicable? Thank you.
And did you want to go back on the original part where we've put 3 requests to CEO? Did you want to take, I think that wasn't in there until we were doing a...
Yes, well, yes, the CEO, the third part C was a brief update to EMs following a rollout rather than a full investigation.
Okay, so part 3, I'm just going to get you just now, they're highlighting it. Once it's highlighted, if you can just read it out slowly just for the guys so they can type it in.
A brief update to elected members following rollout rather than full investigation.
It'll be. So just with that, one last clarification. Are you requesting a council report or a CIBN?
I'd be happy with a CIBN.
Okay. Sorry. And by when?
I don't want to put a time frame in terms of say yeah, as soon as as soon as it's possible. I don't want to put a set time on it because.
Do you want to quickly ask the CEO what would be achievable?
Yeah, that would be a great idea. Thank you.
CEO, do you want to just advise what would be achievable?
We might suggest maybe within the 26-27 financial year, and that way we could aim for this side of Christmas. But if we put it in the financial year, I think that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Okay, now I need a second to speak. Yep. All right, cool.
Lord Mayor, if it may help, I do have an amendment that the mover and the seconder might be amenable to.
Just until we've got to get this one through, and then we can decide what to do. So I'll just quickly, you can mention it when you speak to it. Councillor Leeser, did you want to speak to the motion as the seconder?
Just to say that this alternate motion still aligns with our commitment to maintaining a safe and resilient city for all residents and visitors. So I thank Councillor Ma and Councillor Doshi, and I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yep, so who would like to speak for? Councillor Ma?
Can I just ask a question first?
Just 1 second, I'll just get Councillor Ma to go first, then you can go second. Yep, so.
Councillor Gobbett can go first.
No, you're going first.
Okay. Yeah, I thank Councillor Doshi for your intention, but my only concern is that we're the capital city of Western Australia, so the procurement process and implementation frameworks for our neighbouring councils may not necessarily work for us. Like our capacity to organise, hold community events, and our scale of events differs from other councils. So, as like said, a modular framework may not work if we just take something already, set by other councils that have gone through this process of investigation. It may not necessarily work on our kind of events and community engagement kind of framework, I suppose. So I think we really need to consider us as a capital city, and with our increasing population and the ability for us to organise and gather people, and when the use of life that comes in, how's that going to work and how's that going to be executed? So,
okay, thank you. Councillor Gobbett.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Can I just seek your guidance and potentially from governance as well? We have the notice of motion. Is it that we're now discussing the amendment and there's a foreshadowed alternate should the amendment fail?
So this is an alternate that we're about to vote on, and we'll be going foreshadowed.
Just to make it clear, I did attempt to move an amendment on the original.
Yeah, but no, we're considering the alternate, and then I've foreshadowed the original, and then we can go back to the original if required, and then you can make an amendment. So this is to be dealt with first. If this is lost, we go back to the original. Okay, anyone like to speak for or against? No? Okay, so...
Oh, against?
Yep, sure.
I'll just be very clear. Councillor Doshi's motion is implementing a device that has not been endorsed by any medical body in the world, not Australia, the world. So this is what I mean. When it comes to evidence, if you have a group that endorses it, if you've got a reputable medical body that actually says, we believe this device saves lives, you can hang your hat on it, okay? But if the evidence is still moving and you're not sure where it's gonna land, say a new report comes out, a new study comes out, and we find we have multiple injuries, laryngeal spasms, we have angioedema from these devices, which are very possible by one of the studies. It can be quite, it can make us look quite silly.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak for or against this alternate? No? Okay, so let's put this to, did you like to close? Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Through you, Lord Mayor. I appreciate Councillor Coe's points that he's raised from a medical perspective, absolutely. But I think we sit here as a council and a team of councillors, not medical practitioners. I am a mother of 2 children. And that incident that took place with Zaza that his father spoke about last week is very real for people who have young children. So if there was any opportunity to try and save my child, if it worked or if it didn't, having it there would be way more important than not having it there. So I think putting these in place sooner rather than later, as I said before, if it means that it helps one person, it helps one person. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And before we put that to vote, just a reminder, guys, we don't have to agree, but we can agree to disagree with everyone.
Lord Mayor, I'd like to apologise.
Yeah,
Sorry.
appreciate that. That's fair. Okay, and we understand you're passionate about this. You obviously have some form when it comes to the subject matter. So let's put this to a vote. Those in favour of this alternative? Okay, and those against the alternate? Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go back to the original motion.
And I'd like to move an amendment that I hope the mover and the seconder can consider to incorporate.
Okay, if you'd like to read that, we can consider that.
I believe that it still fulfills the intent of their motion, and that is to add at the end 6, where it says implementation options, to continue that and say, including guidance of traditional evidence-based first aid measures to be used before utilising the device, and investigate training on the proper use of the device.
Okay, I'll just check with the mover and see if they're okay with that. Yep, you're okay with that. And seconder? Who seconded that one?
Can we add one more?
Councillor Coe?
I'm told by the seconder that I could suggest a further line 7 that we note that the device has not been endorsed by any major medical body.
Mover, are you happy with that amendment? Seconder, are you happy with that amendment? Okay, all right. Would anyone else like, so now with that amendment, we'll put that to a vote.
Can I close,
It's been
please?
supported, so that's fine, so we don't need to vote on that. You've already supported it, those amendments. Okay, so now back to the motion as amended. Would anyone like to speak for or against the motion? Yeah. We're just going to check the wording to make sure that we're 100% happy with that wording. Numbering. Just double check that numbering, please. Oh, instead of numbers, letters. A, B, C, D, sorry. All right, cool. Just double checking we're okay with that.
I think I'll just clarify that where I said medical body, I said major medical body.
Major medical body.
If that helps.
All right, cool. I'll quickly. Yeah, the mover and seconder are both happy with that? Okay, I'll quickly have a. I'm the same as Councillor Patton. I was, of everything on the agenda tonight, this is one I was excited about. The opportunity to save lives is, you know, you don't get that every day. And we heard the speaker come in and explain to us in a lot of passionate detail, and having a moment where, you know, my little girl was choking on a piece of apple. That 30 seconds of looking after my child while her mother was out was the worst 30 seconds possibly of my life. But notwithstanding that, I hear the doctor's advice, and I've learnt from the doctor that he's fairly astute when it comes to these matters. So I am certainly perplexed. I guess I would like to have more discussion deferral, but I'd rather we made a decision on this. And I just kind of remind people that there is an opportunity for further investigation that could happen via revocation. So in the next couple of days or weeks, if anyone wanted to further discuss their positions, that would be an option. Because I am totally confused now in regards to which way to go.
And I boldly add, just very, very short, the cake is not baked yet. That's all I need to say.
No, you can't add that because you've spoken. So we're going to retract that from the notes. So there's no cakes and there's no baking. Okay, so look, I'm going to move back to the mover to close.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. So I'd like to thank Councillor Coe for sharing his expertise, and of course he is the only doctor in the room and his words carry immense weight. I'd also like to remind councillors that we are not replacing first aid and we are not committing the city to any spending tonight. We're simply asking our admin to assess the costs, risks, benefits and practical considerations so council has the information it needs, and perhaps reaffirm, Councillor Coe, your findings and research, or it may not. So for those reasons, I commend the motion to the council. Thank you.
Future Prime Minister on the hands, I think, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put that to a vote. Those in favour? Those against? Okay, that has been passed. Well done. And very well debated, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was, it was definitely food for thought and cakes. We'll move to item 19.2, which is notice of motion appointment of additional members to the CEO Performance Review Committee. The mover is Councillor Doshi. Can I have a seconder for this motion, please? Councillor Leeser. Okay, mover, would you like to speak to your reasons?
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. Yes, I submitted this notice of motion almost 3 weeks ago to my fellow elected members, asking for any opinions or any thoughts on the motion. I did not receive any feedback. My motion is around the appointment of additional members to the CEO Performance Review Committee. So I would like the council to appoint the following additional members to the CEO Performance Review Committee: Councillor Leeser, myself, and a Chief People Officer. And the CEO Performance Review Committee is to establish and oversee the annual performance review of the CEO fairly and in accordance with statutory obligations under the Act. Expanding the committee to include Councillor Leeser and myself ensures broader representation of council in the CEO review process, transparency and accountability consistent with governance principles, compliance with City of Perth policies and the Local Government Act. I was on this committee for 2 years and I had 100% attendance, attending all meetings and workshops. Spoke to Walga about this, and they also said that there would be no reason for a person in the human resources part of this council that could not be a member of the CEO Performance Review, recognising its value of HR expertise in the review process, and also noting that this particular committee is not a decision-making committee and that we report all our information to council to make a decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Leeser, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. We must act in accordance with Work Health and Safety Act and, of course, the Local Government Act. The recent psychosocial risk assessment has highlighted significant risks that we cannot ignore. By expanding this committee to include the head of HR, We are taking a practical step to mitigate these risks. Council is the CEO's employer. We have one employee, that's it. And we have a legislative and moral duty to provide a safe workplace, not an unsafe workplace. Performance reviews are normally a constructive process focused on growth and professional delivery. I sat in on the most recent CEO performance review meeting, and I note the CEO has hit 94% of KPIs. 94%. That result should be applauded and celebrated. Adding more voices to this committee isn't just about numbers. It's about restoring professional integrity to a critical oversight process. A larger committee ensures transparency and provides more professional distance required for fair feedback. It prevents the process from being co-opted. We need a CEO performance review process focused on performance, not personalities. Supporting this motion demonstrates our commitment to a respectful, safe and professional workplace. And I urge you to support 19.2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll speak to this motion. I have absolutely no problem with any councillors being on the CEO Performance Review Committee. However, having an employee of the employer sit in judgment of a CEO creates a very tangible balance of power. Our staff are to provide advice. I don't think having someone on that committee who is in the line of reporting to the CEO makes any sense at all. So for that reason, I can't support that motion. Anyone else like to speak for or against the motion?
Well, my question, thank you. Sure. Just a question through to governance. Councillor Leeser mentioned an aspect of the CEO's KPI. Has that been reported back to council in a public forum?
Pop that through to the governance.
Through you, Lord Mayor. Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Councillor Leeser made a reference to the CEO's KPI being achieved at 94%. Has that been reported back in a public forum?
The CEO reports quarterly through on a KPI achievements.
Thank you. I'd like to move an amendment, Lord Mayor, to that, which is to the effect of deleting the Chief People Officer, and I'll speak to that if I can get a seconder.
Okay. Anyone like to second that? Yep. Councillor Patton seconded that. If you'd like to speak to that.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Well, firstly, I don't have an issue with Councillor Leeser and Doshi being appointed to the committee. After all, it is their right under the Act, and I believe they have attended as observers in the past. I did read with interest the proposal to include the CPO. Including the CPO is a red flag. During my time at the City of Joondalup on council, we appointed an officer to a committee of council. It became apparent that having an officer on a committee, even not being the CEO Performance Review Committee, from my first-hand account there, was problematic, and council was advised to remove the staff member from that committee, not for any salacious reasons, although well-intentioned to attend and make decisions relevant to their functions as officers. From my experience, staff found it challenging to be potentially at odds with their employer. And in my view, as an overstep of the executive into the legislative function of local government. In the spirit of Councillor Leeser's earlier remarks, reading out Walga advice, and Councillor Doshi touching on the same, I'll do the same. I contacted Walga, and I won't. I did ask if it was okay to mention this. I didn't speak to someone at Walga. I spoke to the manager of governance, Felicity, and I put a series of questions to governance concerning this motion. The responses I received from Felicity reaffirmed my understanding and experience of good governance and the appropriateness or not of including staff on committees of council. The manager of governance for Walga stated to me, I would agree it would be unusual for an officer to be a member of a CEO review committee. Those were her words. Her words are, consequences of appointing an officer would be unfortunate and not appropriate. So I went back and reviewed my Walga training manual, which I have here, and I reviewed my Walga training manual from the last time I attended the CEO performance review training earlier this year. I couldn't find any reference including staff in a committee of council. So I asked if there had been any updates to the or any FAQs issued since they were prepared. Felicity's advice was no. WALGA have not released any additional FAQs, advice or guidance about staff being on committees of council. So it would be appropriate not to have an employee appointed to the CEO of PRC. Felicity further stated to me the WALGA CEO performance review training does not suggest it is appropriate to have staff members on committees. And WALGA further advises that as an officer participating in a committee member, this would raise serious governance concerns and be a difficult position for the employee to be in, as they would most likely have a financial interest on most matters owing to the nature of their relationship with the CEO. So, Lord Mayor, I won't speak further on that. I think that's self-explanatory, and I encourage my fellow elected members to vote for this amendment to remove the CPO. Thank you.
Okay. Now, just give me a second. So I do have to ask Councillor Doshi, do you approve that amendment?
Yes, but I'd just like to reiterate that we are not a decision-making body when we sit on a committee, and I'd like that noted. Thanks.
So that's a yes? Yes, you don't have to, so, yep. Councillor Patton, do you want to approve that?
Yeah, can I speak or as a seconder or no?
Just a yes or a no.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, no problem. Let's put that amendment to a vote. Those. Okay. All right. So we're not voting on the amendment. That has been agreed. So that will now come off. Would anyone else like to speak for or against this motion? Next.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo pretty much what you said. That I just don't see it appropriate to have an employee as a on a review committee for an employer. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? All right.
Happy to speak.
Okay.
If I,
yep. Sure.
Thank you. I actually would like to table some correspondence from WALGA, and I'll provide that to you, Lord Mayor, through governance.
Okay, thank you. All right. Actually, just before we get that, just a point of clarification. It's actually Councillor Leeser who was the seconder. Councillor Leeser, do you agree to the amendment?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to speak to the amendment then.
Yep, no problem. So we'll go back to the original. So basically, the Chief People Officer goes back and... Yep. No, but that's... Do we have a... Hang on a second. Okay, all right, so... Okay, no problem. Okay, all right. So, Councillor Gonçalves, you'd like to speak to the amendment?
Thank you.
Got you.
Thank you. Lord Mayor, I'll be direct. I cannot support the original motion and absolutely do support the amendment brought forward by Councillor Gobbert, and the reasons are pretty straightforward. But I didn't come to this question unprepared. I did seek advice from WALGA, not on hypothetical scenarios, but on this exact proposal. And what came back gave me pause. Walga immediately flagged that appointing an employee to a CEO performance review committee would be, quote unquote, unusual and may pose some challenges. This is a direct contradiction to Councillor Doshi's assertion. This is as far as you can get from an endorsement as you can get. This is a caution flag. When you read further, the reasons become sharper. Walga draws, and I note that the correspondence that I tabled with the Lord Mayor, Walga draws a deliberate line between the role of the administration, which I note that the responsible officer writing the report is, of course, the CEO herself, and something categorically different, membership and involvement within the committee itself. Their words are that staff roles are, quote unquote, distinct from participation as a committee member in deliberations. And then in the tabled correspondence comes key findings. They say that direct staff participation in a CEO performance review, quote unquote, would usually be inappropriate. That is strong language from a body we specifically ask guidance from all the time, and it deserves to be taken seriously. This reason goes to the heart of what a CEO performance review is supposed to be. The CEO is the employer of this organisation's staff. Every single person employed here reports directly or indirectly to the CEO. That is not a technicality. Bringing a member of that organisation into the committee reviewing that same CEO does not just create a conflict of interest. It creates a dynamic that affects how deliberations unfold, what gets said and what gets held back, and ultimately whether people involved feel genuinely free to act with independence. The standards governing this review call for it to be impartial, transparent, and most importantly, evidence-based. Those are not aspirational words. That is the benchmark at which this council will be judged. There's another dimension I can't ignore, and that is that this process is already underway. We've had our first meeting, a structure is already in place. The CEO, the administration themselves proposed that the CEO performance review be disbanded at the very first council meeting in October, and council resolved that it be kept. There was every opportunity for any councillor to join that committee. So the question I keep returning to is this: why are we changing the composition of a committee halfway through? Because mid-change processes don't strengthen a review, they invite questions. They create ambiguity where there should be clarity, and they hand anyone who disputes the outcome a ready-made argument about process integrity. The Walker advice read carefully gives us a clear framework. Of course, we should utilise administration's expertise, seek their support and lean on their knowledge base. But it also warns that we should keep deliberation, the actual committee work, the weighing of evidence, the assessments and conclusions with elected members and council members. That separation exists for a reason, to protect the integrity of the outcome, and most of all, it protects everyone involved. There may be questions where this notice of motion There may even be questions whether this notice of motion in the first place may verge on being unlawful. But I'm going to go further and argue that it is unwise. That independent advice we sought tells us that it is unusual, that it poses challenges, and that direct staff participation in this context would be unusual and inappropriate. When WOLGA, as the body we turn to for guidance, uses language like that, we should listen. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to clarify something that you mentioned that is important to be noted, that the CEO didn't provide the recommendation. It's been provided by administration. So that's just one thing I wanted to
ask a question there. The responsible officer writing the report is?
It's a notice of motion from Councillor Doshi.
Just to clarify, the responsible officer listed in the report is?
Just a sec. I'll just pass that through to governance.
Through you, Lord Mayor, that's the CEO's responding to questions on this report, but I don't believe she put the report together. She's just responsible for including it on the agenda.
Thank you. But just to clarify, on the report, it has, as like any other report, the list, the title of the responsible officer.
Look,
and that's listed
what I'm
as-
going to do is I'm going to move forward. I hear your point. My point of clarification still stands. Let's move forward. Would anyone else like to speak for or against who hasn't already spoken? This is on the amendment. Councillor Gobbett, did you want to close on the amendment?
No, we've said it all.
All right, okay, let's put that to a vote. So those in favour of the amendment as it reads? Those against? You against the amendment, Councillor Doshi?
Sorry.
Yep, okay, fine, okay, thank you. So that amendment now stands to the original motion that you put forward. So your motion is still live with an amendment. Would anyone else who's available to still speak on that motion? Would anyone like to speak for or against the motion from herein? No? Councillor Doshi, you can certainly close.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. I'd like to remind the Deputy Lord Mayor, back in November, he's just made a statement right now referring to the fact that the committees were already set and we were given opportunities. I'd like to put on record, number one, that the CEO performance review was a recommendation that I made to the Lord Mayor and I was not put on it, number one. But number two, I'd like to remind the Deputy Lord Mayor that back in November, when I was sworn into the Catalina Regional Council, he had me removed based on an untruth. And the fact was that I was not senior enough to represent the City of Perth in this committee. And questioning Councillor Leeser and I now that we're too late to be involved, can he explain what he means by that?
It's not relevant, so we can please move forward.
I think it's quite relevant because the information is contradictory.
It's not a debate. It's not relevant. All we need to do is vote, guys. Ultimately, we're appointing two people. It's very simple. We're appointing two people to the committee who have full right to be on the committee. It is as simple as that. In fact, anyone who isn't on the committee still has full right. And if they approach us at any stage, there's no way in the world we'd knock anyone back who does have a full right to go onto the committee. Okay, let's put that to a vote. Those in favour?
I'd like to speak to the
It's too late. Let's go to the vote. Thank you. Those in favour? Those against? Thank you. All righty. Now we move to item 19.3, which is a notice of motion for advocacy on the temporary graduates subclass 485 visa fee increase. We have received impartialities by Councillor Marr and Councillor Gonsalves, Deputy Lord Mayor, but they're impartialities. So would someone, Councillor Marr will move that motion. I'm quite happy to second it. Well, you can second it, Councillor Leeser. Why not? Mover, would you like to speak to your reasons?
Yes, please, Lord Mayor. Let's just change up the atmosphere here a bit. I might start by providing some context for members of the public. So the temporary graduate subclass 485 visa is a key post-study pathway. It allows international students who have completed their qualifications in Australia to remain, work and transition into the workforce, often up to 3 years for most bachelor's and master's graduates and up to 5 or 6 years for certain degrees such as STEM, health, teaching. And it is quite simply the bridge between education and contribution. And in a city like Perth, home to UWA, Curtin, Murdoch, and now the ECU's new city campus, this pathway matters more than ever. It directly shapes whether the students we educate here can stay, work, and become part of our future. But when the cost of that bridge doubles overnight, from $2,300 to $4,600 without meaningful notice, it affects whether graduates can afford to stay, whether businesses can retain skilled young workers, and whether our city continues to attract global talent. So it ultimately affects whether Perth remains competitive as an international education destination. So this motion is about recognising that and ensuring the voices are reflected in ours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Leeser, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. As somebody with a degree and a master's degree, I definitely believe in education. I believe it's crucial. While I recognise that visa structures and fees are really not a matter for this level of government and clearly are a federal government matter, I'm happy to support this motion if our advocacy can make a meaningful difference for the graduates in our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak for or against this motion? No, that's fine. Councillor.
I'm happy to.
Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you. I think this is an amazing use of councils and the city's powerful position to advocate for its own people and for for issues that are affecting people on the ground. So I really commend the vision that's shown by some of our youngest residents, and I really commend the work there being done by my former playground of the National Union of Students and the Student Guilds. I think it gives us all some inspiration that when people pull together, they can really make change for the better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we're right to go to a vote on that, ladies and gentlemen. Those in... Oh, would you like to close? You don't have to.
Very quick one. So at its core, the motion is ensuring that our capital city acknowledges what is happening, recognises the impact on our community, and uses effective channels to advocate together with other cities across Australia. The final question is, what do you want people to feel when they come here with no sense of security? This motion allows us to say clearly, you are not here to study, you are not just passing through, you are part of our community, you are welcome here, and for many, this is home. So I commend this motion to my fellow councillors. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Let's put that to the vote. All in favour? Okay, that has been passed unanimously. Well done. Okay. All righty, so now we'll move to item 20, matters for which the meeting may be closed. There are none. Urgent business, there is none. Item 22, there being no further business, I now declare that the ordinary council meeting is closed at 7:57. Thank you very much for everyone and for all those who have attended.
Please all rise for the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of Perth, Mr Bruce Reynolds. Thank you all very much.